Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Gloria. This is a continuation of the video we did last week of how to draft a fitted corporate pants. So on this video we have a detailed explanation on how to cut, but then I couldn't do the sewing video for this particular one because it was very long. I had to just cut it out so it won't bore you guys. So please just work with me while I do this. So the first thing you're going to do is to fold your pattern, is to fold your fabric into two, like I've done. So I'm just trying to get an heavyweight object to place on the fabric because I noticed it was slipping off the table. Apologies, this table is really not long enough for you to see everything, but I think um let's just work together. Please, let's work together. So the first thing, you're going to place your pattern paper. If you remember the tutorial we did, the video we did last week, it was the trouser length was 47, but then for this video I had to reduce it to 44. I'll be moving to the floor to do this cutting. Okay, so I think this is better because it gives a wider view of what we are going to be working with. So the first thing you are going to do is to remove out all your tape. Make sure you use your pin on your fabric. Make sure you use your pin to hold the fabric. Remove all your tape. Please handle your pattern paper very careful when you draft a pant or whatever, either is a front bodice or back bodice. Always handle your pattern paper carefully by either taping them or keeping them somewhere in your workspace so they won't get torn or look shabby. This is my pattern paper. I had to tape it down with sellotape so it won't get messy. I'm going to be walking in and out of this camera because I'm ensuring that it is capturing every moment. Remember, I'm not the one capturing this video, so I had to just set my tripod stand and ensure that I would just be standing up to make sure that it's capturing every moment. So on this part, you need to make sure that those two parts are equal. Those two parts, you can see I'm holding it already. Is either you're going to hold it with a pin or you're going to use a sellotape to hold it. Ensure it's equal on those two parts. Those two parts are, I have to use this word, kissing each other, like they are showing that V. So ensure it's doing that part. And the next thing you're going to do is to determine how wide you want it to be at that edge. So for me, I'm going to be working with 5 inches. You can work with more and you can work with less. So it all depends on your preference, how wide you want it to be at the bottom. So this is your own preference. So you can make it wider, you can make it bigger, but then just do what works for you. So this is me. I've been able to determine how wide it wants, and then I'm going to be adding 1 inch on the side of the pants, and then I'll be adding 0.75 on the crotch area, of that's the inseam. It's called the inseam. Let me not confuse you. It's called the inseam of the pattern on the fabric. Right, I'm going to be adding 0.75 on the inseam. So that is me trying to find a balance on that part, ensuring that it is equal, and the difference between that part and the other part is 0.5. You can see I had to check, is 0.5. It shouldn't be more than 0.5. The more you are opening it, the more the bottom of the pant trouser is getting wide. So ensure that part is 0.5. You see, I'm checking carefully, ensuring that the two parts are all together, and I'm using my tip to check 0.5 ish. If it's more than 0.5, the bottom of your pants will be wider. So that's 0.5. I had to just use a tip to hold it down because I noticed that the office pin isn't working for me. So make sure you look for what works for you and ensure that your pattern paper is sitting very well on your fabric. Remember, this is a paper, it's very light, and it might be shaky and it won't be sitting properly on your fabric. So you have to look for how to make sure you either use an heavyweight object, or you have to use an office pin to hold the material and the pattern paper together. So the next thing is just to start taking your measurement. So this part is going to be very fast. I'm going to be taking my measurement on this part. So I'm going to be putting 1 inch on this part. This is the outer seam. That is the side of your body. I'm going to be putting 1 inch. I know you cannot see it, but just follow through my voice note over. And this is the inseam Remember I said inseam, you are going to be putting 0.75 all through, 0.75 all through on this part. This is called inseam to the crotch area. Please make sure you put 0.75, this part 1 inch and the other part 0.75. So that's just what you are going to do. I needed to just zoom it in. So on the previous video, someone dropped a comment about a tie line. So there's nothing like tie line. What you have is your hip line. That's where I just marked your crotch line. So whatever you have for your crotch, sorry, your hip line and your crotch line. So whatever you have for your tie, let's say your tie measurement is 22. That is where you place it on your crotch line. If you don't understand this, please kindly go back to the video. I explained it detailed. I explained it very well on the previous video. So that part is where you are going to, this part is where you are going to put your crotch, your thigh measurement. The crotch line, this is the crotch line, is where you are going to put your thigh measurement. Please take note of that. Please kindly go back to the video and watch it over again for you to have a better understanding. All right, so let's move on. So right now we're going to be cutting, and just cut outside your line. Watch how I am cutting. I'm cutting outside the line. I know you cannot see the line, but when you are cutting on your fabric, don't cut inside the line, cut outside the line, so that it's just my preference. There's no standard to this, but what works for me is what I'm using to teach you. Just in case something happens and then you don't have a short of fabric, you have to be prepared as a tailor or as a fashion designer, however you address yourself. So you just have to be prepared. And then I have to leave 0.25 allowance for the joining of the band. So I'm going to put this aside, and also I will pick the, I'm going to start folding for the back. You're going to do the same. Fold your fabric into two, and then you place your pattern paper on it, and then you just, what you did for the front piece is what you are going to do the same for the back piece. Ensure you have enough fabric for the back, because if you notice the back is wider. It has a the crotch for the back, and for the front is not the same, and also the back is a bit higher than the back. The back is a bit higher than the front, as you can see. So ensure that you have enough fabric for the back piece. So whatever you have for the back, how many you use in opening the leg, the bottom, so do the same. If you open by 5, please open by 5 again for the back. If you see, I had to go back to my camera again and check if it's capturing every part. Sorry guys. So I had to tape this. I had to hold that with tape, what's it called, with an office pin, and this part ensure is also kissing each other. Sorry, I'm using this word. Make sure they are all equal, because it's a slash and spread method we are working with. You are working with a slash and spread method, and you don't want to miss it. The slash and spread method they have to be accurate. Let me use the word, they have to be accurate. And so right now, whatever you have for your front, like I mentioned earlier, you have to have it for your back. If you open this slash and spread method for the back, for the front by 5 or by 4, please do the same for the back. Don't do the back wider. It's going to look funny on you if you do that. So whatever you have for the front, you repeat it for the back. So I'm just taking the measurements for the back, trying to see that everything is working. So right now I've gone ahead to do that, and then I'm going to be cutting through. Remember to leave your 0.25 allowance. Remember to leave that, and then cut outside your lines. So I'm done cutting for the front and the back piece, and you just have to put them together. And then the next thing you need to do is start taking out all your pins. Sorry, I'm out of lights, but then I have to fix it again. So you have to start putting all your pins, take out all your pins, take out your pattern paper. Do this carefully so you don't have a messy, you don't have your pattern paper torn or looking messy. So I'm going to put this aside, and And the next thing for us to do is to weave. So I like to weave my fabric. You can see I'm going to weave all those parts, weave the inseam, weave the crotch area, weave the outer part. So I'm going to be weaving my fabric and then show you guys how it looks after weaving. So this is it. This is a look after weaving. You see why it's good to weave, because it gives you a very beautiful outcome when you are done sewing. See, this is the first thing you do. If you don't have a weaving machine, you just have to look for a way around it. Ensure you weave each side of the fabric first. Ensure you do that first before you start sewing, okay? But then, if you don't have a weaving machine, you could just make do of what you have. Either you want to take it out to go weave, or when you're done sewing, you just weave. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to bring in the front trouser and close up by either 0.5 or 0.75. That will be done on the crotch area. You're going to close up by either 0.5 or 0.75. Please take note of that. Don't close up by 1 inch. It's going to affect your allowance. So on this crotch area where I just touched is where you are going to close up by 0.5 or 0.75. So depends on your preference, but don't close up to 1 inch. So when I'm done doing, I'm going to show you how it looks. So I needed to just do this while the camera is on. I don't want to do it off the camera, so I will show you guys how it is for the purpose of those who are learning how to do this for the first time. I know if you are an advanced person and you are trying to still master the trouser, this might get you bored at some point, but I think no knowledge is wasted. So this is it. You can see I'm using my pencil to mark the line. Apologies, I had a cut during sewing. That's why you're seeing that I tied one part of my finger. I had it deep cut, and there's no first aid in the house, so I just had to tie it so that my fabric won't be messy. So this is the back piece, and this is what we're going to do. So for the back piece, the first thing you are going to do, remember how many allowance you give at the back crouch. So just take note of that. How many allowance you give at the back crouch. But before you put out the allowance, taking out my original measurements that I give, which is 1 inch. I'm marking it out. There are two ways to this trouser. There are two ways to this trouser. So you mark out the allowance for your what's it called, for your back crouch. The allowance to give either is 2 inch or 1.5. You mark it out. But when you are marking it out, once you're getting to the end of that crouch, this part that I'm marking, you don't mark 2 inch. You either mark 0.6. I think no, you mark 0.75. You're gonna mark 0.75 from that edge. You mark it from the waist, from the original measurement of 2 inch. You begin to reduce your hand. You begin to reduce your hand till you get to that part. Because if you are going to mark the 2 inch on that, the down part of this crouch is going to be too much. So I'm just going to mark it out and then go to my sewing machine and show you how it is. So the other way of this crouch, if you notice that you have an excess of allowance either from the crouch, or the excess allowance on the crouch and your allowance on the waist is too much, this is what you are going to do. But before we go there, let me just go ahead and mark the zipper allowance. So you remove your 2 inch on the band and then you mark your zipper allowance. So once you are done marking in your zipper allowance, you take it to your sewing machine. You can see the line there. The length of your zipper should be 9 inch or 8 inch, depends on what you want to do for your client or yourself. But if the person has a big butt, please don't do 8 inch, you do 10 or 11, depends on how big their butt is at the back. Please, that is your zipper allowance. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and then to the sewing machine and then take a loose stitch and come show you guys how it is. So I've taken a loose stitch. So what I then notice is that the allowance was excess, like I mentioned earlier. So when you notice that the allowance is excess, what you're going to do is to take the mid part of this trouser and then mark your darts. Please, when you're taking darts on trousers, it depends. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do, but most times I really don't like to take darts. When you want to take that, make sure your dart is at the back. It's very fine. putting that in front is not my thing. But if you feel like you want to put the dart in the front, then it's fine. You can go ahead and put your dart in front. But then I always like to put my dart at the back. You might want to try that also. But when you want to try this, please use a mock-up. A mock-up means use a fabric that is not expensive, just to practice this and make sure you get it. The more you practice, the more you become better. And then you might even come up with your own style to teach your students or to teach someone around you. So this is me marking. I've gone ahead to mark the middle part of this trouser. How I marked the middle part was to take the allowance from, sorry, I noticed you guys weren't seeing it. How I marked the middle part was to take the measurement from this angle, from this part where I had to take out my original allowance, and for the crouch and also for the waist. So I mark out the middle part on those two parts, and that's how I got my that allowance. So you just mark the middle part where you are going to be sewing from the allowance on the waist and the crotch, and then the allowance, the length of your dart is going to be 5. Don't use 6, just use 5 is the standard measurement. Some people like to use 6, but whatever works for you is fine. So this is me marking it on both sides. So you are going to do this for the front side, and also you are going to repeat the same process for the back side. So this is just watch at what I'm doing. Thank you. So I'm done marking. The next thing is to take to my sewing machine and then take the dart. So this is how the dart is. This is the front of the dart. That's the back of the dart. You can see how neat is looking. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to then take our zipper allowance. That is for the back crotch. That is where your zip is going to sit. Remember, I had to reduce it, so I'm not using 2 inches as I did before. I'm going to be using 1.5. I think this is okay, just in case someone wants to buy this trouser from me and then the person wants to reduce it. So that's another secret to this. If you are doing this as a ready to wear, you have excess allowance at that what's it called, at the zipper part, this part. If you have someone who is on a size 10 but the person's waist is size 12, you know, people's body can be amazing, then you can reduce the waist to a size 12 from the zipper area. You can reduce the waist to a size 12 from the zipper area. So that's just it. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is how it looks. And I'm going to give it a good press, and that will be the end of this video. If you are just visiting this channel for the very first time, please kindly subscribe, like, and hit on the notification bell so you can get notified once I upload the next video. The next video is going to be the total finishing of this. I had to cut it short because it was too long. Please drop your comments, like, subscribe, and share to your fellow soulmates. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. Bye.